Knowing, growing, and going. Knowing that we are loved by God, growing in that relationship with God, and then going out into the world and sharing it with others is the vision, as you know, of this congregation. This text talks about growing. And the question that I want to pose as I read this text, take a notice how many times the word abide is used in this text. I want to know, how in the world can you grow with God if you're not abiding with Him? I am the true vine, and my Father is the vine grower. He removes every branch in me that bears no fruit. Every branch that bears fruit, He prunes to make it bear more fruit. You have already been cleansed by the word that I have spoken to you. Abide in me as I abide in you. Just as the branch cannot bear fruit by itself unless it abides in the vine, neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine. You are the branches. Those who abide in me and I in them bear much fruit, because apart from me you can do nothing. Whoever does not abide in me is thrown away like a branch and withers. Such branches are gathered, thrown into the fire, and burned. If you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask whatever you wish and it will be done for you. My Father is glorified by this, as you bear much fruit and become my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in His love. I have said these things to you, that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. The gospel of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Please be seated. Please join me in a word of prayer. Let the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable to you, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. If you have ever been to the West Coast, chances are you will have seen the redwood trees. Giant and majestic, reaching skyward. Those magnificent trees get to be 400 feet, some of them higher than that. What's interesting, though, about those trees is that they have a very shallow root system. 5-6 feet at the deepest. Those mammoth trees, short root system. The roots, you see, they don't grow down, they grow out, intertwining with the trees around them. Those magnificent trees literally cannot survive until and unless they lean on each other. I am the vine, you are the branches. Whoever abides in me will bear much fruit, for apart from me you can do nothing. Being a Christian is being rooted in Jesus. It's understanding that Jesus is the source of all of our joy and all of our life. But folks, being a Christian also means being rooted in each other. It's the understanding that we are called to be in community, in relationships. It's not happenstance. That Jesus once said these words, "Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there I am in the midst of them." I don't think you can be a Christian alone. I think as we live out our Christian faith in community and in relationships, that faith becomes vibrant. Kristen was 5 years old when she had bilateral reflux surgery at Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore, Maryland. Dr. Robert Jeffs was her doctor. He was the head of the department. He invented the procedure. To the last of my days, folks, I will remember holding her in my arms as they sedated her to take her into surgery. I was a wreck. Sharon and I, being the wrecks that we were, walked out into the waiting room, and there they were, 8 of them. Some of our closest friends, having come from as far as the eastern shore of Maryland, just to be there when we needed them to lean on. I can tell you, if you would like, every single one of their names from 25 years ago. I don't think you can be a Christian alone. Some of you know this story. I was driving home from a Bible study one night, long time ago. And I was driving down the highway. Some person who had had too much to drink stepped out in front of my car, hit the car, rolled up on top of the car, landed in the road behind me, and died later that night. Being so uncertain of what was happening, I was standing there with the police officers, and Stan and Dottie Whitson drove up. Stan was one of the persons on staff with me at a former congregation. They had heard about the accident from Sharon, and they just wanted to be there to help me through it. I don't know what I'd have done had they not drove up. I don't think you can be a Christian alone. I don't think you can be a Christian without Jesus. I don't think we can be a Christian without each other. The vision of the Lutheran Church of the Resurrection is to deepen people's relationships with each other and with Jesus by knowing, growing, and going. It's building relationships so that when we get in places like that, on that road and in that hospital, there will be people that we can lean on. One of the best ways to do that is small groups. It's gathering together with people of like minds and like passions and deepening relationships so that when those dark days come, when the uncertain questions have to be answered, there's somebody there to help us through it. The Lutheran Church of the Resurrection is committed to building those teams, those groups, and deepening those relationships, and we need your help. Every one of you got this brief survey. I'd ask you to fill it out sometime before you leave today. Give it to me, give it to Deanna, give it to Pastor Stephen. Help us figure out how it is that we can build community, that we can have people deepening relationships so that when the difficult days come, we can lean on one another. I think it's completely certain that every single one of us in this room is a redwood tree. We need each other. Every single one of us has had a Stan and a Dottie Whitson, haven't we? Think back on your life. Give me one name. First name only, please. Give me one name of a person who has been there when the dark days have come. One name. Anybody?
Eric.
Pardon me?
Eric.
Stephanie. Nancy. Charlie. Eunice. Derek. Mary. Anybody else? Sorry? Mary. Folks, where would we be without them? Where would we be without them? I am the vine. You are the branches. If you abide in me, you will bear much fruit, for apart from me, you can do nothing. And apart from each other, I don't think we can do much either. For those of you who want to deepen your relationship with God and each other, maybe small groups is a way to do that. Because you know as well as I know that this life is not an easy thing to do, and we are certainly not invited to do it alone. May God grant us each other along the way.